So after another weekend in the Championship, we are here to round up all the action that went down. So as always, I'm very interested to get your guys' opinions on what did you make of your team's performance this weekend. Obviously, this video is coming at you guys a day later than normal. That's because we did have a Monday night fixture going on in the Championship, which we'll be discussing later on into the video. But before we do get into talking about any of the individual games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct this weekend, then your comment will be included on screen now. And fair play to everyone who did get one right. It was a pretty tough one to predict this weekend. We had quite a few upsets going on in the Championship, so fair play to everyone who did get score predictions correct. But without further ado, let's hop into talking about some of the individual games. And so we'll start it out with Friday night's game between Sheffield United and West Brom. Quite an interesting game, this one actually. It was the home side who started the better of the two sides. West Brom looking a little bit sloppy in the early exchanges for this one, looking to play out from the back. There was a couple instances where they gave the ball away and Sheffield United got in some good attacking positions. Eventually, that pressure did pay off though, with David McGoldrick managed to give the home side the lead. After some nice composure to hold off a defender, he managed to fire in low past Sam Johnson. After that point, Sheffield United started well for the first sort of half an hour of this game. After that, West Brom started growing into it, and Sheffield United just became a little bit sloppy on the ball, really. West Brom did manage to equalise through Gareth Barry, who was absolutely outstanding in this game, I thought, for West Brom. I think it was Ollie Norwood who gave the ball away in midfield for Sheffield United. Gibbs latched onto that. He played the ball into Harvey Barnes. He took the ball out on the left wing, cut the ball back. Gibbs then dummied it, and then Gareth Barry at the far post fired it into the top corner to make it 1-1 going into half-time. The second half, that's when the quality between these two sides did start to show, really. West Brom having the players going forward, and eventually West Brom did manage to take the lead through Kieran Gibbs, an arrowing shot into the far post. And in the second half, I didn't think that Sheffield United were very good, really. They didn't give a very good account of themselves. And like I said, the quality gap between these two sides could really be seen. I think that going into January, that's going to be massive for Sheffield United because they're at a little bit of a crossroads with this team at the moment. I don't think it's unfair to say that Chris Wilder is probably overachieving with this current Sheffield United team. They just need 2 or 3 more real quality additions in January, and they really could push on next year. And then we saw Aston Villa drawing 2-2 with Stoke City in this one. Quite a lively game of football, both sides having a lot of chances for this one. Obviously, Aston Villa were without Jack Grealish for this one, and you could sort of tell, really, the tempo for Villa going forward, they weren't quite at in this game. You know, from what we've come to expect from Villa in the past few weeks in terms of the attacking tempo of football, and they did score 2 goals, but they weren't quite looking at their best for this one. It was Stoke who took the lead in the second half after Alan Hutton had failed to clear his lines. The ball was flashed across the goal, and Joe Allen was the first to meet it, who smashed it in to make it 1-0 for Stoke City. Before that, like I said, both sides were having chances. It was quite an end-to-end game of football. Aston Villa did manage to respond though. Jonathan Cudger being fouled in the box gave Aston Villa a penalty. Tammy Abraham then managed to convert it to make it 1-1. But not long after that, Stoke were then awarded the penalty, and Afobe managed to convert that to make it 2-1 to Stoke City. And then eventually, some nice work from Yannick Bolasie, putting the ball across the box into the path of Jonathan Cudger, managed to make it 2-2 in the 84th minute, and that's how this game did finish in the end. In terms of who I thought was the better team for the whole of it, it would probably be in the away side, Stoke City. I thought they were having some nice attacking moves in this one, crafting out some nice chances. Joe Allen looked like he had a lot of time on the ball for this one. The intensity off the ball didn't quite seem to be there from Aston Villa. They looked a little bit tired for this one, really. It looked like a bit of a drained performance from Aston Villa. We didn't really get the tempo we normally expect from them. I still do have a feeling that Stoke could be a little bit of a dark horse for the top 6 this season. They're on a very good unbeaten run at this point in time. They had a decent performance in this game. It's just they need to be turning these draws into wins now. And then we have Blackburn drawing 2-2 with Birmingham. The home side definitely going to be kicking themselves after they threw away a 2-goal lead in this one, and we're looking comfortable for the majority of the game, really. The first goal coming from Danny Graham, a ball swung into the box. Birmingham failed to clear their lines. A nice finish from him. They managed to make it 2-0 just into the second half. A nice finish from a tight angle from Adam Armstrong. In the first half, Birmingham, nothing was really sticking for them going forward. Conor Mahoney had one decent chance which just curled wide of the post, but apart from that, nothing was really happening for Birmingham in this game. At 2-0, Blackburn had a fantastic chance to make it 3-0. Harrison Reed having a shot from just the edge of the box, but Lee Camp, the Birmingham goalkeeper, making a huge save to ensure it doesn't go to 3-0. You know, if Blackburn do make it 3-0 in this game, I don't think that this comeback happens. But a moment of madness from David Ray, the Blackburn Rovers keeper, gives Birmingham a chance to get back into this game, giving away a penalty stupidly. Gardner then manages to convert it for Birmingham, making it 2-1. And after Birmingham had not been in this game at all, really, they were looking really under par for this game. Suddenly they got away back into it, and then just 2 minutes after that, Che Adams managed to level the score up and make it 2-2. It was a nice ball across the box from Djukovic, and Blackburn are definitely going to be kicking themselves after this one because they were in control of this game for the majority of it. One mistake by their goalkeeper gets Birmingham back into the game, and Birmingham are able to ride on that momentum, and in the end it does finish as a 2-2 draw. So Birmingham definitely going to take the point from this one after a pretty subpar performance from them. Blackburn, it's a frustrating one. And then we saw Leeds claim their 5th consecutive win in the Championship with a 1-0 away victory against Bolton Wanderers. For this game, it was to be expected, really. Leeds dominated for the majority of it. They were trying to play Bolton around, looking for something. Bolton were trying to turn it into quite a scrappy game, looking to sit quite deep for this one and just trying to grind out a point for this one. They weren't letting Leeds get any space in behind for this one, and eventually Leeds did manage to make all that pressure pay off. Obviously, with Samu Saiz going out on loan now for Leeds United, most of the creative burden for Leeds United is going to fall at the shoulders of Pablo Hernandez, but he came to the rescue for this one. Nice through ball from Hernandez into the path of Patrick Bamford, managed to make it 1-0 to Leeds United in the second half, and in the end, one goal was all that was needed actually. Bolton finished this game without a shot on target. Bolton, when they went 1-0 down, they looked to come out a little bit more. They had one or two penalty appeals, but apart from that, didn't really offer a lot going forward for this one. But what must be said is Bolton's ability to stay in the Championship was never going to be judged off a game against Leeds United, you know, currently sat at the top of the Championship. Bolton have got some huge games coming up now. Their next game is against Brentford, and the game after that is against Rotherham United. Both of those games are going to be absolutely season defining for Bolton, in my opinion. You know, if they go up against Brentford and Rotherham and lose both those games, it could be curtains for Bolton in the Championship. I question whether they've got the quality in this side. No, I don't really think they've got enough goals in them. But one thing you can't argue with Bolton is lately, in the past few weeks, we've been seeing a lot more spirit from them, a lot more fight. You know, they were putting bodies on the line for this one. Leeds didn't get away from it, and it wasn't necessarily an easy game for Leeds in the end. You know, they were made to work for the 3 points in the end, but just something, they just need that bit more quality going forward, Bolton. Obviously, in terms of Leeds United, looking very good in the Championship at this point in time. I'm very interested to see what business they do in the January transfer window, because they're in a fantastic position at the moment. Then we saw Hull beating Brentford by 2-0, a massive result for the home side in this one. This just gives Hull now that bit of breathing space between them and the bottom three, and really does drag Brentford into the equation, really. You know, like we were saying with Bolton, Brentford's next game in the Championship is going to be against Bolton, and that could really be a season-defining game for them. Things under Thomas Frank haven't clicked for them so far, and once again, it was more of the same from Brentford in this game, really. They had 16 shots in this game, but only one of them being on target. You know, people like Ben Rama and Neil Maupay, as always, getting in some dangerous areas, but just things weren't quite clicking for them. Of course, defensively has been where Brentford have had their main downfall so far this season. Fraser Campbell scoring 2 goals for this one, 2 nice poachers finishes from him actually. Grosicki involved in setting up both goals. But one thing that I thought I'd point your attention to is Brentford just seems to have moments in games where they crumble defensively. For example, obviously the game they had against Hull, we saw them conceding 2 goals in 8 minutes. The game they had against Swansea, they conceded 3 goals in 27 minutes. The game they had against Sheffield United, they conceded 2 in 5 minutes. The game they had against Middlesbrough, 2 in 5 minutes. And the game against QPR, 3 in 10 minutes. Brentford just have moments of madness where their defence absolutely capitulates, and then they never really seem to recover from there. Thomas Frank, I'm not convinced is the right man for the job. I think their next game against Bolton really is going to be massive for their season, because at this point in time, they're only 3 points off the relegation zone. And we saw Ipswich beating Wigan by 1-0. Paul Lambert's first win in charge of Ipswich Town. This could be massive for their season. That season them now go up to 14 points in the Championship. Obviously, they are still sat bottom, but this could be massive, just as in terms of a morale boost. You know, the longer this, you know, winless run was going to go on for Ipswich Town, the longer it was going to be harder for them to find a way back. But maybe there is some light at the end of the tunnel now. For this one, the away side, Wigan were really poor for this one, really. Lately in the Championship, we haven't seen Wigan being on a brilliant run of form. They've got a couple of key players that are injured at this point in time, but in terms of substitutions, in terms of team selections, I'm not sure that Paul Cook has been getting everything spot on lately for them. Once again, for Wigan Athletic, I thought their best attacking threat was their right back, Reece James. He hit the crossbar in this one, had a couple of free kicks, which Bilkowski had to tip wide, but apart from that, Wigan were looking quite limp for this one, actually. Only 1 goal being scored in this one, though. Freddie Sears, a goal from the edge of the box, taking quite a big deflection past Walton in the Wigan goal to make it 1-0 to Ipswich Town, and that was Ipswich's only shot on target for the entirety of this game. I must say, after that, Wigan really were pressing people forward, trying desperately to get back into this game. There were a couple of goal mouth scrambles, but Ipswich weren't letting them get back into the game, and fair play to them, they really had to grind this one out. Bilkowski I've been quite critical of so far this season. He came up with some massive saves for Ipswich in this game, and like I say, going forward, that could be a massive 3 points for them. And then we saw my team Preston going up against Millwall, walking away with a 3-2 home victory. I've got to admit, it wasn't the best game of football, even though it was a 3-2 home victory. I didn't think that Preston were very good for this game, actually, and for large parts of the game, I actually thought that the away side, Millwall, probably were the better side for this one. For the first half an hour especially, I thought that Millwall were creating the more dangerous opportunities. Preston weren't really quite looking at it. Our intensity didn't quite seem to be there, and going forward, nothing was really sticking for us. It was quite a dreary first half an hour or so, but out of nowhere, Preston managed to take the lead through Alan Brown. Paul Gallagher managing to pick him out from the edge of the box. Brown makes it 1-0, and then Paul Gallagher providing the assist for the second goal as well. A fantastic looping ball over the top of the Millwall defence into Tom Barcusen, manages to coolly slot that in to make it 2-0 going into half-time, and out of nowhere, really, Preston have a 2-goal lead going into half-time. In the second half, Millwall do pull a goal back through Jake Cooper. He's been quite a threat from set pieces so far. That was the case once again, but Preston managed to seal it through Andy Hughes scoring a deflected free kick in the 81st minute. Millwall do pull a goal back in the 92nd minute, but by that point in the game was already gone. Ben Pearson had one thumping shot which crashed against the crossbar. If that went in, I would have gone absolutely ballistic. But in the end, 3 points for Preston. We're on a good run of form at this point in time. We're now looking up the championship. But in terms of Millwall, something just seems to be wrong with them at the moment. Their performances, I don't think myself, have been disastrous. Certainly not as bad as some of the other teams who are currently near the bottom of the championship have been. They can score goals, but something just seems to be wrong with them defensively at this point in time. And then we had QPR beating Middlesbrough by 2-1. QPR making a really fast start to this game, taking the lead after just 4 minutes. And there seems to be a real sense of vulnerability about the Middlesbrough defence at this point in time. At the start of the season, that was their strong suit. Going forward, they were never really scoring a lot of goals, so it was always their defence that they relied upon. When they started conceding 2 or 3 goals per game, that's when there's going to be trouble, because they're never going to score a lot of goals with the way they play football. I've seen Middlesbrough play a few times so far this season, and it is quite draining to watch them play at times. When it is going your way and you're picking up results, you don't really mind the way your team's playing, but when things start to go wrong like they are at this point in time for Middlesbrough, that's when you start to question the style of play. Middlesbrough did manage to equalise in the second half though. A nice volley from Seville from the edge of the box managed to make it 1-1, but not long after that, QPR managed to restore their lead at Naki Wells, making it 2-1 after a deflected shot had found its way past Darren Randolph. In terms of QPR, it was probably one of the best performances we've seen of them lately, actually. QPR are a really funny side when you want to predict them, because they can be a little bit unpredictable, but in this game they were looking very confident going forward. Middlesbrough have some massive games coming up now in the Championship. Their next 3 before the January transfer window are all very winnable on paper. They've got Reading, Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich Town. In my opinion, they need to be picking up at least 7 points from those next 3 games if they are going to bounce back. And then we had Reading drawing 1-1 with Rotherham. The away side, Reading, still without a manager. The sooner they get that sorted, the better, really. But it was the away side who went on to have the better of the first half of this game, especially Josh Sims picking out Baldock with a fantastic through ball to make it 1-0 to Reading. Baldock calmly slotting it in to make it 1-0. After that, Reading continued to probe this Rotherham defence, having more chances. Baldock was getting into some good areas, and without Rodak, Rotherham could have found themselves 2 or 3 goals down after that first half. Into the second half though, that's when Rotherham started to come out a little bit more. Besides, we're having a lot of chances in that half. Rotherham especially threatening from set pieces and corners, swinging into the box. Reading defensively didn't really convince me. There were a couple of goal-mouth scrambles where they just about managed to clear their lines, but eventually their defence did crack, with Joe Matic popping up in their 91st minute to go ahead and give Rotherham a point from this one. This result does lift Reading out of the bottom 3 for the time being, but only on goal difference, whereas Rotherham just sat 1 place above Reading at this point in time. So quite an interesting one near the bottom of the Championship at this point in time. A point doesn't really do either side a massive favour. And then we had Swansea beating Sheffield Wednesday by 2-1. The situation at Sheffield Wednesday just seems to be getting worse and worse, and I'm really not sure how much longer this manager's got left before they make a change. I'm surprised that they've not made that change yet, really, because at this point in time I only see Sheffield Wednesday going in one direction. In terms of the home side, Swansea, a bit of a frustrating game for them for this one. Didn't have it all their own way. It was actually Sheffield Wednesday who took the lead for this game after some pretty poor defending from Swansea, trying to play out from the back. Once again, that was latched onto by Matthias, and he managed to make it 1-0 to the away side. A couple instances we've seen this from Swansea at times this season, trying to play out from the back, giving the ball away quite cheaply, and then them going on to lose the game, but that wasn't the case in this one. It was a good reaction for them, and Selena was the instigator in this comeback for Swansea City. I've spoken about Selena quite a bit on the channel so far. At times he can go missing, he can drift in and out of games, but when he came off the bench for this one, he had a huge impact in Swansea getting back into this one. He managed to score the equaliser on the 71st minute, and then basically just a minute after, seconds after really, he managed to go ahead and turn provider for Routledge to go ahead and make it 2-1. A brilliant lofted through ball from Selena. Routledge latched onto it on the right hand side, and then he managed to slot the ball in past Dawson's legs to make it 2-1 to Swansea City. A massive 3 points for Swansea, who, in all honesty, I don't think they're a million miles away from being a top 6 side in the Championship. I think that a couple more additions in January and we really could see Swansea having a good push for the playoffs come the end of the season. And in terms of Sheffield Wednesday, the next few games in the Championship are going to be huge in determining their season. Their next one is against my team, Preston North End, so I'm looking forward to that one. That should be interesting. And then as the evening kick off on Saturday, we have Bristol City drawing 2-2 with Norwich City. Of course, Norwich is currently at top of the Championship, but Bristol City, I thought, gave a really good account of themselves. Bristol City do seem to be that sort of momentum side where they'll lose a lot of games on the bounce, then they'll go on a bit of an unbeaten run. They are now unbeaten in their last 4 Championship matches. In their last 3 before this game, though, I didn't think that the performances were exactly very convincing from Bristol City. The game they had against Birmingham, the one they had against Millwall. Although they were picking up results in those games, the performances still weren't quite there for them, but I thought there was a lot more intensity about about this Bristol City side in this game today, and it was a really good end-to-end game of football. Marco Stephen managed to give Norwich the lead for this one though, after Timu Pukki laid him off from the edge of the box, just bending it into the far post. A fantastic finish from him to give Norwich the lead, but Bristol City did get back into it just before half-time, with Jeju once again getting on the score sheet. He's been on a decent run of form lately for Bristol City. Going into the second half then, Bristol City were continuing to have chances going forward. Josh Brownhill having a couple of efforts from a long way out, but eventually Callum O'Dowda managed to make it 2-1 to the home side. A fantastic finish from him. Callum O'Dowda in this game, absolutely fantastic, looking to drive at that Norwich City defence. And Callum O'Dowda is a player who I don't think we've necessarily seen the best of him so far. When he is on form, you know, he does seem to be a bit of a confidence player, but when he is on form and driving at players in the Championship, he can be a really capable player, someone I'd like to see more of going forward this season. But eventually Norwich did get back into the game. Max Aarons, some nice play from Onel Hernandez down the right hand side of the pitch. He managed to go ahead and put Jeju on his backside. He crosses the ball into the far post, then Aarons is there to make it 2-2, and in the end that was how the game did finish. A really engaging end-to-end game of football, both sides having a lot of chances for this one. Bristol City, I thought, a massive improvement from what we've been seeing of them lately, but a good game in the end. And then our last game to talk about this weekend was the Monday night game between Derby County and Nottingham Forest, in the end finishing as a goalless draw. A bit of an anticlimax with all the build-up going into this game, but in terms of the actual 90 minutes of football, it was actually a decent watch, to be fair. Both teams had quite a few chances for this one, and come the full-time whistle, I thought that a point was probably the right result from this one, really. Derby and Forest fans, I'd be interested to get your guys' view of this game in the comments down below. It's fair to say that the referee wasn't the most popular person at the end of this one. I thought that he was giving quite bad decisions for both sides, really. Derby should have had a penalty in this one, but equally they probably could have quite easily been down to 10 or 9 men in this one, really. So the ref didn't have a good game by both accounts. It was Derby who started this game as the better side, I thought, for the first sort of half an hour for this one. Nottingham Forest weren't really coming out at Derby, posing much of an attacking threat. Derby had some decent chances. Pantilimon was forced into some good saves. Tom Huddleston had a fantastic one at the far post, which he just couldn't get on target. After that, though, Forest were growing into the game the longer it did go on, really. Lewis Grabban had a good chance towards the end of that first half, but Derby just managed to rectify it and get back in time. Into the second half, once again, both sides were having quite a few chances for this one. There wasn't really much in it between the midfield battle for this one. Joe Lolly was Nottingham Forest's main attacking threat going forward for this one. He had some good chances in the second half, forcing Scott Carson into a good save and hitting the crossbar quite late on as well. But like I said, finishing as a draw in the end, I thought was probably the right result for this one. So this result does now leave Nottingham Forest 7th in the Championship, just 1 point outside of the top 6, and it leaves Derby in 4th position as well. What I'm still interested to know from you guys is, who do you think is going to finish higher this season? Do you think it's going to be Derby, or will it be Nottingham Forest? There's not much in between these two. But guys, they were all the games that did take place this weekend. So in terms of my goal of the weekend, there were some crackers scored, but myself personally, I'm going to have to give it to Marco Stiepermann of Norwich City for his fantastic goal against Bristol City. And in terms of my result of the weekend, quite a tough one to pick. This one, in my opinion, is between two, but I'm just going to give it to Ipswich Town for going ahead and beating Wigan Athletic by 1-0. Come the end of the season, that 3 points could be massive for them. But guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you did go to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do let me know in the comments down below, what did you make of your team's performance this weekend. And as well as that, make sure you subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.